look to the hills.
Hello and welcome back. Today, this is so exciting to study this, and today we're going to start session 2 of 40 Reasons Why We Could Be the Generation. Of course, this is your textbook. You've had your assignments and you are ready to receive another Reader's Digest version of Reasons 5 through 12. Here we go. Let's just go ahead and get started. Reason number 5, the Roman Empire has been revived. The first two empires on earth were Egypt and Assyria. In Daniel 2, 1 through 45, God shows Daniel the interpretation of a dream that King Nebuchadnezzar had. And he showed Daniel what the remaining 5 empires on earth would be. Daniel saw a great statue, as you're seeing on the screen. The head was made of fine gold, and he told Nebuchadnezzar that this was the kingdom of the Babylonian Empire, which is the kingdom that Nebuchadnezzar was ruling. Then he said the breast and folded arms of the statue were of silver. This, he told the king, were the Medes and Persians who would conquer Babylon. The belly and the thigh were of bronze, and this was to be the Greek or Grecian Empire, which would be led by the he-goat, Alexander the Great, who would then conquer the Medes and the Persians. The fourth of the remaining 5 kingdoms was made out of iron, and this is the Roman Empire that he said would then conquer the Greek Empire. The 2 iron legs are the division of the Roman Empire, divided into the eastern portion, which was called the Byzantine Empire, and the western portion. Both of these have expired. The toes were partly of iron, which means they were strong, and they were mixed with common clay, which we know, like pottery, is weak and brittle. So this last kingdom of the 10 toes would be a mixture of strong and weak, and these two don't mix. Just as the men who are or were to be a part of this 7th empire will not adhere or see eye to eye on everything. The European Union, or the EU, is this new world order of the 10 toes. In Daniel, we learn that a stone will strike this empire. This is a stone cut without hands, a living stone, the chief cornerstone. And already we see the EU flexing its muscles more and more. The newly created European Defense Agency is the EU's first step to becoming a military power to enforce a foreign policy agreed upon by its member states around the world. France has led the call for a revived European superpower to confront Washington. Quote, "Our world needs several powers, and we are in the process of gathering the pieces and the will to become such a power. The European Constitution, which makes nor wants any mention of God in it, is the beginning of the European diplomatic service. They have a currency, the euro dollar, that has on it a woman riding on a beast. The postage stamps have the same image of this from Revelation. And the EU is now backing Palestine, which will eventually bring on the battle of battles at a place called Megiddo in the Great War of Armageddon." And by the way, I just found this interesting. I'm just going to toss it out. That the Western European Union, or the WEU, resolution number was 666. Just throwing it out. Reason number 5, the Roman Empire, the final empire on earth, has been revived. Check. Reason number 6, the age of the Gentiles is being fulfilled. Luke 21:24, "And Jerusalem will be trampled by Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles are fulfilled." Romans 11:25, "For I do not desire, brethren, that you should be ignorant of this mystery, lest any of you should be wise in your own opinion, that blindness in part has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles has come in. Luke referred to the time of the Gentiles, that part of history that will be dominated by Gentile powers until the coming of the Messiah kingdom. But the fullness of the Gentiles in Romans is referring to the completion of the Gentile church's purpose. And following this fullness of the Gentiles, when our purpose has ended, scales will drop off the eyes of the Jewish people. Veils will be lifted on their hearts. They will no longer be blinded to the Messiah, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ. Again, remember, there's only 12 to 15 million Jewish people on the planet. They make up less than 1% of the world's population. To be exact, it's 0.002%. And yet, over 1 million Jewish people have recognized Yeshua HaMashiach in the last 20 years. This is a sign. Number 6, the age of the Gentiles is being fulfilled. And when the time of the church's purpose is ended, God, because the Jewish people, not all, we have to give the Jewish people all the credit for keeping the scriptures for us and recording it and bringing it to us. But when they rejected the Messiah, the gospel then was taken to us Gentiles. Now we have a time period, this church period, when our purpose has ended. God will be turning his full attention back to Israel and the Jewish people. And we are fast approaching that time. Bible's batting 1,000 so far. Reason number 7, the days of Noah have returned. The 10th generation from Adam was so perverse, so violent, so morally bankrupt, that God told Moses, who was 480 years old at the time, take heart, senior citizens, God can still use us. He said, go build an ark. Mind you, 200 miles from any body of water, and when the earth had never had rain. Because if you read in Genesis, the earth was watered by mist. So here he is building a ship 200 miles from any body of water, telling people that something called rain was going to come out of the sky. Noah and his sons built this ark for 120 years. Now you talk about obedience and stick-to-itiveness. We could all learn something from that when we're given a task and it takes us far longer than we think that we should have to spend on it. There was many people came by, and there was a lot of gossip about this nut who was building a boat. And Noah testified to anyone who would listen. But they ignored the warning that was being given to them by God, that God was going to bring judgment on the whole earth because it was so wicked. People scoffed. They ignored the warnings, but not Noah. So God gave him and his family not a boat, a great ship. And right here is a place to tell you that I have done a presentation called Noah and the Ark. Noah was a zealot, and I'm one too. You really need, as a class, to order that video and play it so you can see what lengths God went to so that this earth could start again being repopulated with people and all the animals of the world. Remember the story of Lot? God sent 2 angels to remove Lot and his family from the judgment of Sodom and Gomorrah. As a matter of fact, the angels kept saying, hurry up, Lot. We can't destroy this place until you're removed. Let that be our picture of the rapture, that God does not save the judgment for those who are prepared and who are believers. So the earth was perverse, so perverse that God was sorry he ever even created man. Ruth Graham Bell said that if God does not judge America and other countries, he's going to have to apologize to Sodom and Gomorrah. And I don't believe that we need to go into the moral decay in this country or around the globe. God has an escape plan for those who are watching for the signs, who are praying often that they're found worthy to escape or vanish, and who are living a Christian lifestyle. Now, I go into great detail about this event, the rapture, in your textbook, On the Brink of the Rapture. So you can either scoff and you can ignore the warnings in this end-time prophecy seminar or all around you, or you can choose to be prepared and escape or vanish. What will you choose? Scoffing and ignoring, or watching, praying, and be active? Number 7, the days of Noah have returned. Check. Number 8, the apostate church is here. Apostate, traitor, renegade, runaway, fugitive. It is falling away from the faith. 2 Timothy 4, 1 through 3 says, in the latter times, in that day, some people will fall away from the faith. They will pay attention to deceitful spirits and doctrines of demons, and they will believe the hypocrisy of liars. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3 said that day, the end time, will never come until the falling away comes first. Revelation 3 contains letters to the seven of the existing churches of that day, and the last 2 churches were existing simultaneously just as they are today. We have the faithful church, or the Philadelphian church, and we have the lukewarm church, the Laodicean church. Here's what the Spirit told John to write to the church at Laodicea. You are neither hot nor cold. Listen now. If you do not change, I will spew or vomit you out of my mouth. You have left your first love, meaning Yeshua. And he continues, strengthen those things which are about to die. Prevalent religious delusions, distortions, deceptions are rampant in the church body today. And among the many and extremely dangerous is the replacement theology that teaches that the church has replaced Israel. There are a growing number of clergy who doubt that Jesus is the Son of God, that he was born of a virgin. They doubt that Jesus is the only way to heaven. Some doubt there's even a heaven or a hell, and surely if there's a hell, a loving God wouldn't send you there. We have Episcopalian churches ordaining homosexual priests, and now just recently also a branch of the Lutheran denomination. The church is full of tares and wheat. What's the difference? You always hear that, tares and wheat. When the wind blows, the wheat will bend over and the tares stand because they won't bend. So when the wind blows, they pull the tares out and the wheat remains. And the church is full of wheat and tares. Jeremiah saw this, and he writes in 23:11, for both prophet and priest are profane. Yea, in my house I have found their wickedness. That is very sad, the prophets and the priests even. He said the time will come when they, the church, will not endure sound doctrine and teaching. They will turn their ears from the truth and turn aside to fables and false teaching. And this church doctrine, this apostate doctrine, is made up of a cocktail of secular ideas and half-truths. And it's time to drain those swamps. And if your church is into false teaching, see what you can do to help correct it. If it won't get corrected, leave. Go someplace where there is sound teaching. There's a rising popularity of a New Age movement. Eastern religion, meditation, past lives, reincarnation. A lot of this has infiltrated the lives of even Christians. Many of the TV evangelists have started believing their own press, and they've let their ministries get bigger than their relationship with God. Many can't keep their pants zipped up, or they're having public spats or big public divorces. God help us. They have just simply let the ministries outgrow their own character. Many Christians are leaving the church, and they're sitting at the throne of modern humanism as personified by Oprah Winfrey. Oprah has featured a course in the past called A Course in Miracles. Here's what the author of this course espouses. There is no sin. A slain Christ has no meaning. The journey to the cross should be the last useless journey you take. The name of Jesus Christ as such is but a symbol. It's a symbol that safely is used as a replacement of the many names for God to which you pray. The recognition of God is actually the recognition of yourself. The atonement is the final lesson that man needs to learn, for it teaches him that not ever having sinned, he has no need of salvation. Popular author Wayne Dyer told his PBS television audience about this brilliant writing. And he said, A Course in Miracles would produce more peace on earth. It's no surprise then when we see a runaway, renegade, fugitive church. And what did God say he would do? I will spew the lukewarm out of my mouth. And I don't know about you, but I do not want to be God's vomit. Reason number 8, the apostate church is here. Check. Reason number 9, the signs of deception and false Christ are being manifested today. Matthew 24:5 and 23 through 24. For many will come in my name and say, I am the Christ, and will deceive many. For false Christs and false prophets will rise and show great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. See, I have told you beforehand. There's God. There's that loving Father. See, I have told you beforehand what to look for. 2 Timothy 3:13, Paul warns that evil men and seducers shall wax worse, deceiving and being deceived. And clearly, we are told that religious and philosophical deception will flourish throughout the earth during the time of the end. What does Jesus say? He says, do not go after any of them who proclaim to be Christ. He said that in Luke 21:8. Many false Christ and Messiahs have deceived many ever since the late 60s. Eastern religious cults are flourishing. And there have been hundreds of self-proclaimed gurus and messiahs that have existed even since the time of Christ. But never in history have we experienced the onslaught of them as we have today. Throughout history, at least one self-proclaimed Messiah has appeared each century. But just in my lifetime, I've seen Daddy Grace, Jim Jones, David Koresh, that guy Applewhite from Heaven's Gate, who got his group to commit suicide while they were waiting on a spaceship to take them home. And the latest popular Christ is Dr. Jose Luis de Jesus Miranda. And he's headed to the United States, folks. And if Applewhite could get people believing there was a spaceship coming to get them and get them to commit suicide, don't think that Dr. Miranda could do the same thing and worse. He is from Puerto Rico. Don't you love it when the newscasters, they're speaking English and they all of a sudden have a Latin-sounding country and they turn Latin all of a sudden. They're from Puerto Rico, and he has hundreds of thousands of followers. Reason number 9, the sign of deception and false Christ are being manifested today. Check. Oh, I love this one. Number 10, the gospel is being preached to the ends of the earth. Matthew 24:14, and this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the nations, and then the end will come. The prophet Zechariah wrote this in 5:1 through 4. Oh, I love this. Then I turned and raised my eyes, and there was a flying scroll. And he, the angel, said to me, what do you see? So I answered, I see a flying scroll. Its length is 20 cubits, and its width is 10 cubits. Then he said unto me, this is the curse that goes forth over the face of the whole earth. For everyone that steals shall be cut off as on this side according to it. And everyone that swears shall be cut off as on that side according to it. I will bring forth, says the Lord of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief, and into the house of him that swears falsely by my name, and it shall remain in the midst of the house, and shall consume it with the timber thereof, and the stones thereof. Fact, 20 by 10 cubits is 13 by 15 feet. Fact, satellites are 30 by 15 feet. Fact, satellite retrievers are 60 by 15, and a satellite retriever can retrieve 2 satellites at a time. I believe with all of my heart that God showed Zechariah a vision of the satellites of the future that would come and, like TBN and other Christian stations, carry the gospel into the homes of the sinners to convict them. You know, if you can't say hallelujah there, just say, oh my, say something, but that's big. I was listening to TBN the other night. Dr. Paul Crouch announced that they were now being seen in every place on earth except Antarctica. And there are 1,000 people living in Antarctica. And this book is being carried into Antarctica. There are 3 churches in Antarctica. The gospel is in Antarctica. And they have like 75 or 79 satellite footprints. Folks, the gospel is being preached to the whole world now. And before I was more learned in the scriptures, I used to comfort myself with that one, because I didn't know what the end was. But every time somebody talked about the end, I'd go, oh, well, they'll never get enough missionaries to get to Bula Bula land in my lifetime. And I was right. We'll never have enough. But there's satellite. Hallelujah. And the signal now is digital, not analog. Can't be blocked. They can pick it up with a ham radio, TV, computer. The signal's out there. God said when it's preached to every nation on earth, it is now preached to every nation on earth, and we know for a fact it is in Antarctica. I did not fully appreciate before I started studying Bible prophecy, that God is not boxed in by our finite thinking, well, unless we get a missionary there. Yes, we need missionaries. Do not stop giving to your missions programs around the world. We need them. We need their touch there, their human flesh, their touch. But now we have people like evangelist Reinhard Bonnke. He's seeing millions come to Christ in his mammoth crusades in Africa. Folks, there's no seats, there's no concession stands. Just the world's largest loudspeakers and lighting system. And they're coming by the millions. And they're standing shoulder to shoulder as these pictures are being beamed back. It looks just like wheat. And you talk about a bumper crop. Reinhard Bonnke prayed as a teenager, Lord, give me Africa. And God is giving him Africa and bringing them to Christ. And today, the freedom is here to preach the gospel to once closed nations, especially and including communist countries, and even Iraq is now open to the gospel. And Lily Rose Ministries is very actively engaged in Project Vision as we plant these books in every nation on earth. Presently, the book is in all 50 states. It's on 6 continents and getting ready to be hand-carried onto the continent of Antarctica. It's in 147 states, and we have at least 15 to 18 custom slips to type next week. We are actively engaged in getting this message out. There's no doubt about it. The scripture is being fulfilled more and more every minute. If you're still in the room, give God a praise right there. The gospel is being preached to the ends of the earth. Reason number 11, knowledge has exploded. Daniel writes in 12:4, and knowledge shall increase. When? In the end of days. Think about it. From Genesis' portrayal of the Garden of Eden until the 1900s, what was the main means of transportation? Camel and horses. What was the main source of light at night? Torches. What was the main means of communication? Glass mirrors, smoke signals, drum beats. It's only been in the last 100 years that we have had automobiles, jets, supersonic flight, electricity, light bulbs, laser, radio, TV, fiber optics, computers, modems, translation software, printing, internet, cell phones, iPods, Googling, Twittering, blogging, and on and on. More knowledge has been discovered in the last century than all of history combined. And it's said now that knowledge, because of all the technology, is doubling in less than 2 years. Everything known is doubling every 2 years. Over 90% of all the engineers and scientists who are ever lived are living right now. Number 11, knowledge has exploded. Check. And we're going to end on number 12, TV has been invented. Now, I just mentioned TV under knowledge explosion. And there have been 2 specific prophecies that allude to this invention, which can now be fulfilled because of TV, satellites, and Telstar. We just talked about one. The gospel now realistically is being preached throughout the world. Number 2, and more specifically, this invention has made possible these scriptures from Revelation 11, 7 through 13. We are told that there will be 2 witnesses sent by God during the tribulation, and that they will be killed, and the whole world will watch and celebrate with parties and gifts. And these same 2 witnesses will be brought back to life, and everyone at one time will see this happen. This absolutely, positively was not possible before the invention of television, satellites, and Telstar. And you can bet your bippy CNN will be there, Fox will be there, they'll all be there for that one. And I'm so glad, because they're going to get to see these 2 men raptured. And that's going to give some people a clue what happened to all those people who disappeared. They're going to see a rapture right in front of their eyes. Reason number 12, TV has been invented. Check. This concludes session 2. Remember your assignment. You are to search out scriptures that support reasons 4 through 12 and bring them back to class with you. And you will share with your classmates, and your leader will give you your assignments. And in the meantime, continue to enjoy your textbook on the brink of the rapture.